Hey, it's me, Big P, and I wanted to do an update video for the Chaos Spellslinger. We are about 24 hours into the new league, and I've played for going on 13. Probably about an hour of that is AFK time. I'm gonna mouse over my gear real quick. Nothing too crazy, except these boots are kind of nasty. I unveiled like 40 move speed if you haven't been hit recently. Which is kind of nice. And then the gear that you can get, especially like the jewelry from the people, I just got my 5 link from the mercenaries this league, pretty decent. So overall the gear quality I would say is a little bit above average. That being said, I was able to just go for obliteration since I didn't need Profane Bloom in my 3rd lab. We went as per Unholy Authority because we're going to use stuff like Bane and maybe even more than 2+ curses. We'll see. A lot of stuff still up in the air, and I'm testing, experimenting with a lot of stuff. We got a Wither Totem set up here. We got Bane self-cast with Despair. That's for anything that's like really stubborn and not dying. And then we have Hexblast Contagion in Spellslinger. This is really like a more experimental sort of section here because Essence Drain is just with GMP. You know, we're still doing that classic combo, but all I can think about right now at this point is whether or not, like, just how good it's going to feel to put a Death's Oath on and just be shield charging into stuff. Like, the Spellslinger has been so successful that I think I'm just rethinking the whole Caustic Arrow thing just because I don't want to take shield charge away from a build like this. Again, a lot to go, but right now it's definitely a very approachable setup. One of the easiest, cleanest campaigns I've done in a long time. And just kept going into yellow maps here where the damage is starting to fall off, especially because we only have like a basically one mod wand that we're using. The fizz damage, extra chaos doesn't really work. Spell damage implicit works, and the explosion is basically the only reason we're using this. So for just clearing general purposes, this is all just gem levels, and the tree here does have a lot of support for chaos now. Damage over time in these areas. We did fill out all the nodes here, as well as the efficiency nodes, so you can get those kind of big Spellslinger things. I will say that I've wanted to press Eldritch Battery for a while now, but Energy Shield is a really important part of defenses right now, or what passes for defenses right now. We're just going to do a tier 6 map. It does have Shock Ground, more Monster Life, so these are things I'm not immune to any ailments right now. Don't have a flask set up for that. And just generally, my max hit for Fizz is really bad, but let's do the Delirium anyway. So for most of the time, we are just clearing with the Spellslinger setup, and then if you see a rare, you can kind of throw a Bane at him to help him die quicker. Definitely a little bit more active than, let's say, shield charging into shit with Death's Oath, which I cannot wait for. I do think we're going to end up going for something that's probably a little bit more durable because I want to be able to shield charge into shit. And then we'll really see if I get to double dip on some like nodes on the Death's Oath itself. Is it worth it to like put like a Bane setup in there or something, like actually 6 link it, the double dip on those? Let's just exile you. Oh, hey. I really don't have a good fizz max hit, so a lot of these like physical guys, I mean, you just kind of off-screen them. They're stupid computers, so really take advantage of that. Kite it around a bit and you're good to go. And then, yeah, for clear, it's really good. Once we do get Profane Bloom, of course, we'll be able to drop the obliteration. I just wanted it because we're using Bane as part of our single target setup. I just wanted the additional curse. Having both Temp Chains and Despair on them is nice. I'm even going for the additional curse because I think Punishment in the Bane setup ends up being more damage. I'm not a min-maxer in terms of like dot stuff. As you can see by me shoving Hex Blast into this build to what I think is great effect. I would say per campaign at least, like there's no reason not to. might be a bit more of a meme now that we're getting into like maps where I need to be more focused on how we're allocating the reservation resource. Like I'm thinking about low life, I'm thinking about Eldritch Battery, because it does feel pretty consistent, but does have like hiccups here and there. So I want to smooth out all the edges before making like a super definitive guide. But for a league start, for day one stuff, like this is pretty close to like exactly what I wanted to have. Pain points are mana costs. You do need to have, I'm honestly running pretty low because I just put the 5th link in here. Without it, we're like up to like, I would get to like 200 to be really safe if you want to like really spam shit. Gwennon's kind of shitty, but I will do this just because showcase like the clear. Sure, hit me with poison, I don't care. Give me that. See, like this guy's a rare, so you bane him and then you blow him up. I don't know, Hexblast is still, I really do like it, especially because like it introduces a hit potion, it introduces shock and chill, like you're definitely like, it's nice to feel, but it does feel a little gimmicky, like we're just shoving shit into Spellslinger setups. We may end up just using something like Contagion and then Bane for single target, and then the Death's Oath for just general clear. Essence Drain is nice. Soul Rend as well, you know, just having the recovery portion of that early on. Especially because that's where this build is suffering right now. Stuff like Burst Recovery, just general stuff. Which is another reason that I really don't want to put the Death's Oath on just yet. It's a little tricky, but, you know, we're getting there and getting well into the 80s, well into the yellow maps, where we can get some decent gear and really decide what we want to do, you know, decide what the pain points are truly worth focusing on. Because, again, I do feel like this sort of build has a ceiling. If you're going to keep it a Spellslinger, there's just no real reason to, like, spam stuff. I mean, we do kind of have a reason where we can, quote-unquote, spam with Hexblast now. But it is limited in its application. It just does give the build a lot of nice burst, I will say. Because that's kind of what it's missing. You know, oh nice, another 5 link we can use. Maybe. Alright, here's the boss. So let's see, we are doing Wither Totem setup still. Bane, blast it. Bane, blast it. I'm really like torn between it's like, okay, is it worth it to blast it constantly? Or go between Bane? Like, I don't know. Again, we're definitely running into, I mean, this has more monster life. It's not bad for ED Contagion without like any plus levels. Still leveling gems and shit. So, not insane. Oh, people are using that, right? Ooh, that's a thing. Streamer client working. And then, yeah, the clear is only going to get better. Like, being able to shield charge into stuff while doing a death aura that explodes everything is just going to be, like, quote-unquote, a defensive layer. I do like having temp chains on as the blasphemy aura, because that, counting that as a defensive layer, too. But yeah, as you mess around with the Spellslinger setups, you will find yourself pushing against Reservation. Of course, you saw my last video, like this core cluster here for Wand Mastery Reservation is very important, as well as the 12% increased here. You only really get a little bit more from the 8% here, and then as well here, you get 8 here, and then another 16, which is really nice. I almost want to push for leadership as well, but that's only like 8%, so we might be going over here, just because I also want to get into like maybe some block or ES. I'm still torn between it, because I am on this section of the tree right now. You could drop pretty much this whole thing, go around the top, get like 1, if not 2 cluster jewel setups, and then get more stuff here, get like Purity of Flesh, maybe you can go into like Hybrid ES, maybe even go into like block, like I don't know, like old Spellslinger setups were like using Shavs and low life, but if I'm going to be Death's Oath, I can't really do that. I'm kind of torn between those two sort of things. Something really cool though about Hexblast is you'll see if I take out the Spellslinger support, so you can see the cooldown time is 1 minute and 49 seconds, right? Because they put a cooldown on this spell for some reason. The Spellslinger reduce cooldown or increase cooldown recovery rate applies to the cooldown inherent to Hex Blast. So just a little, like, nice little thing there that kind of boosts it, makes it a little bit more consistent to come out. It really has been like kind of the dark horse of this whole setup here, because Chaos Dot is good, and do keep in mind that anything that's dot multiplier is not actually scaling Hex Blast. Hex Blast has like a hit component that you're scaling and things like that. Instead, it's just a lot of flat chaos damage. So things like Area of Effect that you would put with Contagion, basically there's not a lot of overlap here. Like Energy Leech only is working with Hex Blast right now, but this is an experimental thing. You really would take that out. Maybe get Leech on the tree. You're not really leeching with the Chaos Dot sort of, you know, build. There's not really a hit component. There is technically to Essence Drain, like it has a hit component and then a debuff, but like, you know, whatever. So not super consistent. We're trying to work out the kinks, but as far as, you know, a vessel for experimenting with stuff, it's been super nice. It's been super fun. I do have Frenzy, Faster Attack, Shield Charge, and Frost Blink, so we don't have any Arcane Surge on the build, but I don't really think that matters that much. I'm not wanting for cast speed, and just having Frenzy up virtually all the time for attack and cast speed, and just a generic more damage multiplier is really nice. Last minute Temp Chains, Chaos Golem I'm not really using. I forgot that I was gonna, you know, keep the Hex Blast on left click just to show you the cooldown and just more details about it. I don't like having golems without them summoning. Don't like the mercs really yet if they're not being. Hello, can I not? What's going on here? Did I disconnect? All right, I think we're crashing or disconnecting. I have had some weird disconnects and stuff, but we're getting pretty far into the Atlas. Wow, there's a queue. No, I mean, everybody just got disconnected and kicked, I guess. So, yeah, again, looking forward to the build. We're going to get a Death's Oath on, strap it on, and then we'll have to make cuts in terms of reservation and just overall the build shape. But right now, you can definitely follow this and get you through the campaign. You know, just a basic Spellslinger setup you can force in as soon as you get the gems. The safest two would be just Essence Drain and Contagion, of course, the classics. You can mess around with Soul Rend. I was doing a bit of that, but then I was also messing around with Hex Blast and fell in love for just a lot of big burst damage that's not really present in a Chaos Dot setup. I do think ultimately it's a little too clunky to integrate with like a full endgame setup, but we'll see. You know, never say never. Maybe there is something to be said there to have it as its own little separate Spellslinger setup in addition to something else. I mean, honestly, we might only be running that as Spellslinger and then self-casting Bane with the more traditional just Death's Oath setup. But yeah, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments here or come by the stream. We're going to keep pushing Occultist. I'm just really more enamored with the build now than ever before because we do have some new weird possibilities to run with it. And I don't think I'm going to go Caustic Arrow. I think we're going to go a wand. We're going to get a nice big beefy shield, hopefully bring that Fizzmax hit up and be an actual build sooner rather than later. So thanks for watching. I'll see you soon.